Hello, and thank you again for joining me for Scots United, where I and my team of Scots, who are also me, bring you the latest in television, movies, and pop culture. Speaking of pop culture, I hope you had a safe and enjoyable Halloween. It's over. It's November. Christmas music is already playing in stores. This is the world we live in. And of course, please vote! Please vote! If you're watching this before Tuesday, please vote. But I digress. Halloween is over. I wore some orange and red, some crazy colors to kind of honor Halloween's passing. But if you're still in the mood for something with vampires, still in the mood for something dark, Scott has something that you might like to check out.
Hey Scott, I just finished watching season 2 of Castlevania on Netflix.
Now, I didn't watch season 1.
Now, don't worry about season 1. Season 1 was only 4 episodes, so you can totally catch up really quickly, and it'll be worth it. I got hooked in by season 1 last year. It really set the stage with beautiful animation, with interesting characters, and some really intense, stylized, fantasy violence and language. There is definitely some language in this. This is definitely a mature themes animated show.
So I heard season 2 is longer than the first. It's 8 episodes. Tell me why it's good.
But season 2 is great because it takes what happened in season 1 and expands it. We get new characters, more development, nuance, complexity, some twists, some turns, more graphic, bloody violence. It's vampires. I mean, you expect that.
Well, sure.
Hey, left me wanting more. I'm looking forward to season 3. Definitely left room for more avenues and more paths to explore.
Okay, so if you want something bloody, something violent, something emotional, and beautifully animated, I guess check out Castlevania, seasons 1 and 2. So now let's jump over to Scott and hear about an Amazon Prime show that 10 to 1 you've already heard about.
Hey Scott, I wanted to talk to you about Homecoming, the new Amazon Prime show starring Julia Roberts. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, maybe Julia Roberts isn't your thing, you don't like, maybe some of those movies where for every Erin Brockovich, there's The Runaway Bride. Fair. Anything with Christopher Maloney is immediately going to be better, but still, yeah. Yeah, if you're a Runaway Bride apologist, please spare me your acrimony. So yeah, she has some of her more, commercial ventures that are maybe a little bit paper thin, shall we say. But she's not a bad actress, and she is very watchable. And this show, I think, is a really interesting vehicle for her. So Homecoming is also based off a podcast that's been adapted into a show. And even though it's dramatic and suspenseful, each episode is only half an hour long, which keeps the pace moving. It's very, it's unique for a drama. And it has a really good feel to it.
Ooh, okay. Tell me more.
Imagine sort of this, moody lighting, a soundtrack score that feels sort of 70s era thriller, which hits a sweet spot for me because that's when the best horror movies and thrillers happened.
The Exorcist, The Omen, Rosemary's Baby.
And right from the jump, it's sort of this tension between two timelines. The past is 2018, where Julia Roberts is working at Homecoming, this place for veterans to be reassimilated and brought back into society in a constructive way. But there's some rumblings, and then there's the future, which is a few years later, where she's living with her mother, Sissy Spacek, who's in everything these days, and there's an investigator played by Shea Wiggum who is sort of trying to figure out this complaint that was filed against Homecoming. What were they really doing? Were the soldiers there against their will? And that's what's set up in the first episode. And 2 episodes in, I'm curious, I'm intrigued, and I want to see where it goes and how twisted it'll get.
That sounds really interesting.
Anything that builds suspense and dread in the style of a 70s horror classic, I'm in. Definitely a recommendation.
Now, there is another show currently available on Amazon Prime, and that is The Romanoffs. Scott, have you checked that out? What do you have to say about that?
The Romanoffs is an anthology, and Matthew Weiner created it, who I love from Mad Men, but So far, I've caught up. I'm current with the Romanoffs. I think we're in episode 5, and it sort of bobs and weaves. Some episodes are better than others. Some are more interesting. Some have a little more strangeness to them.
Oh yeah, give me some Corey Stoll any day.
I'm curious to see what the whole picture of the show really communicates by the end, but I feel like I don't really know what I think fully about the show until I'm at that place.
Okay, well that is the show. Once again, thank you for joining us for another edition of Scots United. Join us next week as we continue the Christmas creep and hear those earworm songs that we don't really need to hear yet. What's wrong with Thanksgiving? Can't we enjoy that moment before Christmas has to be like insidiously inserted into all of our lives? I'm just saying. Have a great week, and don't forget to vote!